This is the aftermarket report with Vegas and Jim. Today's date, November the 28th, 2018, and we've got a special guest today, and I'm going to let Vegas introduce it.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and hope everyone had a green trading day. We have quite a few stocks to talk about, but before we get started, I do want to welcome to our show today Peter Tahoo, as in Lake Tahoe. He has actually been trading Bitcoin cryptos for quite a few years. He's out in Los Angeles, and he's joining us today because, Bitcoin's actually been on the move. So who else better to talk about that than Peter? So Peter, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, we had some nice movement today on Bitcoin. We came all the way down to the very low, 3,500 recently, this past couple of days, from our high of 20,000 at the end of last year. So the big question that people want to know is this the bottom? Is it time to get in? And I would say that the past couple of days were definitely a good time to jump in and grab it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to monitor the situation. If we take a look at our chart, we see a nice bottom formed at 3,600, depending on the exchange that you're looking at, because they're not all exactly the same. And we had some really strong volume coming in and supporting it at 35. And then yesterday we had a big day because there was a big conference in New York, which is Consensus Invest. This is Consensus in New York is one of the biggest conferences in the country, and they have it, it's a couple times a year. The one in the beginning of the year is more for, let's say, the builders and the people at large. But this one, the invest part, this is more bridging the legacy markets with crypto. So we had some really heavy hitters from big banks and big corporations and hedge funds and institutions taking a look at what's being built in the blockchain world as of yesterday. So, and as it turned out, the Bitcoin price was at this very low support level and right at the tip of a wedge. So that volume came in yesterday and it pushed up overnight. And then this morning, Wall Street, saw the action, and they heard about, what everyone was discussing yesterday, and they punched it up. So we went all the way up to the natural resistance at 4,300. And now it's pushing back as expected. So where do you go from here? Is it a buy right now? I would say, at this exact moment, I'm looking at Coinbase. If you are in the US, Coinbase is perhaps where you are buying. On other exchanges, like Bitfinex, it's closer to 4,300. But the bottom line is, if I was monitoring this situation, I would watch this retest that's going to happen tonight, and I'm sure overnight the bears will try and push it down even more. And I'd be looking for an entry, around 4,100. And the bottom line is 4,000 needs to hold up. This has been a bear market year, and this means that the bears have ruled the market this whole year. So do we flip bullish completely in one day? Well, sentiment doesn't necessarily go completely bullish. However, I think all we're looking to do right now is have a firm, confirmation of breaking the downtrend. And I would say that, as long as, we're holding over 4,000, overnight and tomorrow, then things are looking pretty good. We do have some catalysts to keep in mind, but the big thing that everyone's looking for is an ETF approved by the SEC. The thinking there is that it's really a custodial issue. So this allows essentially hedge funds and even retirement funds, they can now actually have exposure to crypto without worrying about like the private keys and things like this. So I would say in this very short term, we're looking to hold 4,000 and maybe you're getting, some starter positions going on here. I think that we'll see a nice accumulation going on really for the rest of the year. Because I mentioned the ETF, which was scheduled to be approved numerous times, but the SEC keeps pushing that back. And I think that they'll probably continue to push that back until next year. So there was also another big catalyst, which is BAKT, B-A-K-K-T. Basically, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange is going to they're going to have their own crypto fund, right? So, and the good part about this is it's not actually a derivative trade. It's one that requires physical possession of Bitcoin in order for people to invest in that fund. So that means that there's going to be buying, right? When it's derivatives, it's like, hey, I'm just going to, short you. Well, I don't have to buy the actual Bitcoin. You're just pushing it down. So BAKT, which was scheduled to start happening on December 12th, that actually just got pushed last week. And this was, it got pushed back to January last week. And this was one of the things that precipitated the fall. Also, the Bitcoin Cash fork was a big reason for it coming down, Bitcoin coming down so far. So what we're talking about here really is setting ourselves up for next year, right? So you're getting your starter positions going. And, me personally, I'm very, very bullish on crypto. There's so much FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that comes out, and so much of it is propagated by the media. Well, you want to know what? The truth of the matter is they talked it down because they wanted to get in cheap. I mean, listen, it was 20,000, let's see, at the end of December. And so now you're buying it. I mean, you're buying it at $36.50 yesterday. This is a great deal. So I don't know if we're going to dip back below 4,000 again, but if we do, I think that it'll be bought up very quickly. So, long term, I think that we are back to all-time highs within a year and a half. The other very important catalyst that's long term, that's within 2 years, but it's like just over a year and a half, is the Bitcoin halving. This means that the mining rewards that the miners get, right, from mining Bitcoin. Mining Bitcoin is you're essentially just confirming the transactions on the blockchain. That mining reward is cut in half. So one would say, well, why would someone continue to mine something if you're getting half of what you were getting before? Well, the idea is that the price is at least 2 times what it was. So then it makes sense for the miners to continue to do that. And that's generally what happens. I mean, you can have, a halving written into the code of any crypto that's mineable. So the bottom line is, all ships will rise and fall with Bitcoin. So, the other big ones like Ethereum and Litecoin, they're going to follow suit with Bitcoin. But something that to keep in mind, listen, crypto is a big game. It's not just Bitcoin. I mean, the truth of the matter is, you could buy $200 and send it over to, another exchange and trade altcoins and flip those, every day. I mean, there's always a lot of action, especially in the altcoins. Just today, Nexus pumped up 100%. Now, I happen to like Nexus, that's NXS. But clearly a whale had accumulated at the super cheap prices, and then it went up like literally 105%. So there's always a trade, whatever Bitcoin is doing, up or down, there's always money to be made. So I would say, right now you're looking for entries in the very low 4s. Let's see what happens overnight. The weekly close on Sunday will be very important. So don't FOMO. You don't have to chase there. It ran like wild last year, but nowadays with the you have the futures market and the derivatives market, there's a few things that keeps it on lid. So it's not going to run as crazy as it did last year. So, let the trade come to you and, look to accumulate at these low levels.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Peter, because, a lot of people, as soon as they hear, oh, Bitcoin's moving, Bitcoin's running, right away they say, all Bitcoin stocks on watch, like Mara, Riot, DPW, DIGAF on the OTC. So how does this, kind of action kind of, trigger that? Because, I'm watching those stocks and I'm not really seeing them running just because Bitcoin's running. So maybe you can help people understand that a little better.
Yeah, I mean, there are some of those that are okay. I mean, Riot, I think is okay. I think that they're actually legitimate. When they first came out, I didn't necessarily think so. But there was a decent day trade. I mean, listen, they're day trades, right? Bitcoin pops, and you'll see a little pop on some of the crypto stocks. And in fact, I would take a look at those that popped today and those that didn't pop today, so you're prepared for the next time. There was a move of, let's see, you could have, let me see, from open, you could have got from 185 to 250, right? So, even, you could see it start moving up last night, actually, because people saw the strength of Bitcoin, so they got a little bit early on that. Mara, let's see, that had a decent pop. Listen, the truth of the matter is that any of these crypto stocks, if they're miners, so if that company has like a ton of mining rigs, they're way, way underwater. So because it's currently, anyone who's mining Bitcoin right now, they're doing it at a loss. So those, they're really just day trades right now. Bitcoin has to get back up to like 10,000 for the companies themselves to actually be profitable. So, I mean, for me, there are no long-term holds in those stocks. You're getting some exposure to them, but you're not holding the actual asset. So, the bottom line is we had a nice bounce off of a bottom after a very long decline, on Bitcoin. So we had, really good movement yesterday, overnight, and then today. So so we had a pop in some of them.
Okay, well, that I think explains it, and I really do say, I actually think the move on Riot was probably the best one today because it did have a low of 179 and ran all the way to 250. So that was probably one of the stronger ones today on the blockchain. So
And I've been trading Riot for a while too, and it's way oversold. I mean, I was flipping at Vegas around $5, $6, $7 last little bit ago, not too long ago.
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be in any of those stocks when it comes to earnings because they're all way, 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 way down. Like Mike Novogratz, who's sort of this well-known billionaire who's very hype on crypto. His company famously released some information yesterday, Galaxy. And they lost. They're down millions, and people are leaving. So the bottom line is that this year was very much like a builder's year. But long term, I like it a lot. Next year and 2020 for the halving, for sure. And it is the future. I mean, the bottom line is this is how trade will be conducted. Very soon. I mean, it's just blockchain is just it's a better way to do things.
It's like a world currency almost, and there's nothing like that right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things about being so disruptive is that all of the current power structures will always try and push you down because they stand to lose. What you gain, they lose. So I mean, the original ethos, from which it sprang, is certainly in alignment with my own views. You're essentially taking the hands out of central bankers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even the IMF, I mean, everyone knows that this is how it's going to be. I mean, this is how we're going to do business, and it makes sense. So they're sort of prolonging it so they can get their own position, and integrate their own systems with this, and not be completely disintermediated. I mean, otherwise, you just put so many people out of a job immediately that you cause so many enemies. That's why you get so many people shorting it, so many people talking it down. Because they're fighting for survival.
Yeah. And beings we're sitting here, I'm going to just go ahead and talk about Riot real fast. I'm looking right now at a 1-year chart, and you can see last year when we had the big run, Riot, when the thing about Bitcoin came out, Riot ran all the way to $46, and then it was just like a pyramid down. It just kind of corrected itself, bounced up a few times. So we're sitting here just last week we were at a year low at 165, and all of a sudden we have the Bitcoin breakout. So I'd keep a good eye on Riot for this coming week and next week and see what happens with it.
Yeah,
for some bounce plays and flips, like you said, and scalps and stuff like that.
Yeah, for me, all the Bitcoin stocks, for me, they're all day trades on big pops, and then they fade. That's I don't see follow through unless Bitcoin holds, which it's going to have to prove it's going to have to prove it tonight and overnight and this week and really at the weekly, the close of the weekly on Sunday, that hey, people they're going to want to see that confirmation that okay, this is a true reversal, and then sure, right, and then these other ones look super cheap, at these levels.
It looks cheap to me right now because I was flipping it around $6. So yeah, okay.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Peter, for coming here and talking with us in the I Love Stocks community, because this really helps people better understand what's happening in the Bitcoin crypto world. So I'm sure we'll be in contact regularly and hear more updates from you, because a lot of people like just knowing what's going on. So we appreciate this very much. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And you can find me on Twitter, Peter Tahoo. I post there a fair amount, certainly every day. And like I said, listen, there's always a play, there's always a trade in crypto. Whatever Bitcoin's doing, the altcoins are an entire other universe. So there's always something you can do. So sure, my pleasure, and let's do it again.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
If we can get that link to your Twitter page,
yeah,
we'll add it to this video.
Yeah, we'll put it in the video too.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Well, thank you very much, Peter. We appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Take care. Bye.
Thanks. All right, Jim. So that's great. And I'll put Peter's link in our video information tonight for those of you that like, even if you don't trade Bitcoin, crypto, you still like knowing what's going on. I will, or someone that does trade it, I'll post his link and you guys can check him out. All right, so Jim and I are now going to talk about some stocks, and we're going to talk about NIO and IQ, NBEV, David's Tea, and I might even throw in a little bonus. So why don't we start with NIO, Jim? Wasn't that pretty on our video last night?
Oh boy, I'm just showing the website of this pretty car right now. It's called the NIO ES8. And then here's the ES9. That's what I want right there. I want
Jim
one of them.
That car. How much is it? Do you know?
Oh, no, I don't know how much that thing is.
Okay, well, maybe it's a good deal. I heard the cars they make are good deals, so I'll have to check it out.
Okay, well, let's look at the yearly chart on NIO. It's new IPO. It's been out for about 3 months now, 3 or 4 months. It opened up right around 535, or it had a low of 535 that day. And within 3 days ran up to 1380, and then ever since then we've had the trade war battle going on, which we had going on back then. And we've had a couple little bounces and corrections within this channel. This channel goes up to about $8.24. That was the last resistance that I drew on this chart, and that was the high of the channel. So today, and here we are at the bottom last month at $5.95, under $6. So I'm going to pull up the 20-day chart, and you'll get a better picture of what we're looking at. For the last 20 days, this thing's been kind of bullish. It bounced from that 562 level, and today we had a 20-day high of 28.24, which is right on my resistance there. So what we want to see tomorrow, maybe just a little bitty pullback, not much, but we want to see this thing run on out and break out of that $8.24. But we've had NIO on our eyes, on our watch list ever since the IPO broke out. I think there's a lot in store for this stock. This is just like another Tesla. So you'll definitely want a piece of the pie when it gets up to around 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. And that is NIO.
All right.
And I got one I want to talk about today.
Which one?
This is IQ. I've been wanting to flip this stock forever, and today I just thought about it, and I turned and I looked at the chart, and right now I'm going to pull up a year's chart on it. I don't think this thing's been out for a year either.
No, and I do want to mention to people that are not familiar with the stock, you know, this is the parent company of Baidu. Okay, I don't know if a lot of people knew that. BIDU is the parent company of IQ.
It's China, right?
Correct. They're in Beijing.
Yeah, I got the website up right here. And what they do is they more or less have platforms that provide a collective internet video content. So, you know, and I've loved this stock. I mean, this thing ran all the way up to $40. So we'll get back to the chart here. And we had a high of this when the IPO came out, and that was back in March. It was about a 15.30, and then it just had a beautiful run for about 3 months, all the way up to $46. And ever since then, we've had a pullback, more or less ever since, you know, the nitty-gritty has been going on with the trade war. And so here we are, we're at a bottom here, and I saw this today, and I was telling Vegas the other day, anytime this is under 20 bucks, I want to play this. And so today I saw it, and I said, hey, we're under 20 bucks. Actually, we had a low of just around $19. So I got in at $19.17, and I sold it at around $19.70. So I was able to make a pretty good little flip out of that stock right there. And this is IQ. Keep it on watch. I think this is something that has a big enough spread on it every day where you can probably flip it once or twice a week.
Yes, and you know what, I just want to say that, you know, when this came out on IPO, I mean, the IPO price was about $18.
Yep.
So, I mean, the price that you bought it at was pretty much close to that.
Yep,
so,
that's right.
I mean, you got a really, really good deal. And I actually think that, you know, the reason that it's actually, you know, with everything going on with the China trade wars, until that gets settled, we are seeing a lot of the China stocks you know, further devalued. And obviously, some of these are trying to form a bottom. And I think that maybe when things get settled, hopefully in a positive way, with the trade war there, we might obviously see a lot of these China plays, you know, rebound. And,
I agree.
You know, right now we know that IQ is not the Netflix of China, which, you know, a lot of people seem to say that that's the Netflix of China. But you know what? It has amazing growth potential. So I think definitely, like what Jim said, keep this one on watch, because I think IQ can definitely be a leader in the market.
Yeah, I believe it's at a perfect support level here right now. Anywhere under $20. So let's talk about, Vegas. We mentioned this one just the other day.
Well, we mentioned NBEV. And actually, we mentioned specifically David's tea. Okay, so I just want to mention that. So I do want to mention, obviously, just very quickly, these stocks both broke out today, especially NBEV. And you know, we had this today. I actually called an idea in the group today to look to trade this for a day trade at $3.70. And then, you know, it didn't really do anything, and it went to like 373. And then I said to people, I know it's a boring trade, but I said, you know, guys, when you trade NBEV and it's under $4, it's pretty bullish to me. So, you know, people were kind of bored and maybe didn't hold it. But let me tell you, the stock rallied. But before we get into the chart, I just want to explain what was going on. So the news was that, you know, this farm bill could actually blow up the cannabis market. And, you know, people are wondering, like, what is this farm bill? And a lot of people didn't even really know what that is. You know, this is a bill that is a top priority for the Congress to pass before the end of the year. And if it becomes law, we could actually see cannabis products on the shelves of every drugstore in America. So if it's actually fully legalized, I think the market could explode, with sales can hit going towards estimates of about 22 billion by 2022, which is higher than the you know, U.S. cannabis industry, which was quoted by Bethany Gomez, who's the director of research for a firm called Brightfield Group, and she says this will be a correct result of legalization. So you know, with the bill that can be passed, you know, you could even go to CVS and Walgreens and you could find cannabis products on the shelves. So this news basically was out there. And obviously, this is a farm bill, as you know, from 2014. And if the Congress made it legal to grow cannabis, rich industrial hemp, if a farmer got research permits to do that, then we could definitely see some positive, you know, action in the market. So this bill seems to have bipartisan support. There is no indication that it will be passed, but you know what? The news is that it probably is going to be passed. So it's a bit controversial, but that was kind of the rumor that was out there today. And this was reported by a news reporter. So as a result, we saw some action on the chart, and I'm going to let Jim talk about the action because it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, we noticed this thing yesterday at 335 bottom, and we should have probably sparked our attention. Even I should have probably went ahead and bought me some of it because that thing's way oversold. I'm going to pull up a 20-day chart. First, I'll pull up a yearly chart. And you can see the breakout we had back during when that crave, and we almost hit $10. We were a penny shy. And the thing's pulled back, run back into the three moving averages, which is the 200, the 100, and the 50. So we've been showing a lot of respect to the 100 SMA right here. And when this thing got down to that 335, we should just went ahead and jumped right in. That was a solid support. You can see it here where it hit that once before and it bounced right up. See right there how it bounced right up to that resistance right about $5 and then pulled back. Well, we're off to the races again, and that we hit another resistance right here at 435. Had a little difficulty of breaking out there. We pulled back to that same level right there around 435, and then we bounced up a little bit. So definitely always keep NBEV on your medical marijuana watch list, and same with Cron, same with Tillery, same with CGC. We're hot on all four of them, and ACB's down too. So that's one you also want to add to your watch list. And there's another one we want to talk about that we've mentioned a few times, and we're going to mention it again today. Vegas?
Yes, I just want to mention, you know, David's Tea. I mean, we did mention this the other day. I was actually telling you guys about the fact that the new CFO joined, and I gave you a little bit about his bio. His name's Frank, and I told you what his mission is, which is to turn this company around. And, you know, David's Tea kind of, you know, sympathy play to NBEV and all the other stocks out there, but really more sympathy play with NBEV because they're in the beverage business. So I'm going to let Jim talk about that chart because there was some action on the David's Tea chart, just not the same action that we saw obviously on NBEV, but still not discounting David's Tea at all, and definitely have it on your watch.
Yeah, I'm going to first pull up a 3 years chart on this thing. I just want to look at it. Look at that. 3 years ago, this thing was up here at $14.30.
Wow.
And just the day before yesterday, we had a yearly bottom of $1.90. Vegas wanted to bring this up to me yesterday in last night's video, and I kind of just turned it down, and I should have had a different attitude about that, and we should have talked about this yesterday. I didn't realize that we were down here at $1.90 at a year's bottom. So I'm going to pull it up back to a year, and we're going to look at a year's chart now. Beautiful chart. Here at the year high, we had 535 with a pretty nice little resistance right around $4. Let's say 414, somewhere in that area, right around 415. So that's what we're going to call long resistance. So we got a little channel here. We got a low support at 205 now. I'm changing that to 205 to 209 as a support area. This 216 is going to be a pivot point, and we're going to try to bring it up to the channel of that 230 area. We'll probably stop right around 222, and we talked about that today, and we came real close to hitting that 330 today if we did not hit it at all, which I think we did. Come real close. So let's try to retest that 230, and if we can get past that 230, we got an opportunity to bring it up to the next resistance, which is right around $2.50. Don't go hog wild with this one. It is a sympathy play, but I definitely think this is what I call high society tea. Very good stuff.
Oh.
That's David's tea.
David's tea. Okay, so I just want to throw in a little bonus here.
Bonus time.
Yeah, bonus time. I do want to mention this because this popped on my watch today on my scanner, but didn't really get into it. But I do want to talk about RADA, R-A-D-A. This is the Israeli ticker, and I'm just going to send something here to Jim. I'm just going to send you a link, Jim, that you can show up here.
Yeah.
It's there. So I just want to mention this stock only because, I was looking at it and thinking what's going on with it, but there was news on it earlier today. This is an Israeli ticker. They're located in Netanya, Israel. As you guys know, RADA is an Israeli-based defense electronics. They specialize in the production and sales of tactical for force and border patrols, also with aircrafts. They sell a lot of stuff to the U.S. Anyhow, long and short of this company, they did actually raise $12.5 million from a leading Israeli institutional investor. And they got two Israeli investors, one called Sagot, and the other one is the Phoenix Insurance Group. And they actually agreed to purchase 4.5 million shares of the company stock for expected gross proceeds of 12.5 million. And also RADA's major shareholder, DBSI, also agreed to invest $1.5 million, which is subject to shareholder approval. So this offering for this, investment is going to be closing today, which already probably closed anyways. So the proceeds from this is for general corporate purposes and for obviously to include working capital. So in looking at the chart, it did look to me that RADA looked bullish. And I'm going to let Jim talk about what he sees, but I kind of look to see a continuation potentially later this week, because I actually think that it's great that they got this money from investors who are putting money into the company. So I think that's actually good news.
It's a lot better in an offering, if they needed an offering or if they needed money, that's for sure. To have extra capital, they can really go to town. So here's a year's chart on RADA. I can see that I've played this before. These red lines are back probably last year's trend lines that I was playing. So we've gone beyond that, and we've hit a little resistance up here, which is right around 318 on a yearly chart. Now you can bring it up higher. This resistance can go to 332. You got another one wrapped around right around 340, and then you just keep on bringing them up to around 352. So we're sitting here on the year's chart. Here's the three moving averages. We've got the 200, and we've got the 50 crossing up over the 100. Kind of smooching, kind of a little tight squeeze right there, and it's above that. So I'm going to pull up to the 20-day chart. I'm going to look at this right now. I'm going to see how everything's lined up. I see a support level right here. I'm going to go ahead and note at 285. So keep that on watch. Keep 285, 288 as a low support channel. I don't think it's going to get down there. Oh, it can go down there. I'm not saying it can't. I don't ever want to say that, because what we need to do with this is to get up here to around the $3 level. Once we hit $3, we can more or less say, and it breaks at $3, we can more or less say it's got the mustard to go ahead and continue up to the rest of those other resistances. And having this extra money just might give it a little extra volume and a little extra momentum to move on up. So we've got to hit that $3. If we don't hit the $3, look for the pullback right around the moving averages, which is right around 287. I hate to see it go anything below 283 to stay in this channel, to create a new channel. And we want it to go ahead and run all the way up to 318. And once it does that, and it's got more volume, then we can have a new look at it. And this is RADA.
All right. Well, this concludes our episode for the I Love Stocks Market Report, and a little bit longer than the norm because we wanted to really talk about what's happening in Bitcoin, because it's actually been a lot of chatter in the market about it, and we really wanted to have someone that we know that knows that area much better than Jim and I to help us share that information with the viewers. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, subscribing and following. Really appreciate it. And everyone have a great night, because I love stocks. And Jim, anything else to add tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank Peter Tahoo for talking to us about Bitcoin. It's always good to learn new stuff. And let's have a great day tomorrow. I still think we're in Santa Claus rally. I called it. We had a real big high today in the market. Let's keep this going, this momentum. And this is the aftermarket report with Vegas and Jim, November the 28th, 2018. And we love stocks.
Night, everyone.